Hello everyone, this is Adyasha and welcome back to the channel. And in this video, I will be explaining about the V model, also known as the verification and validation model. So in depth, I will be covering each phase with clear examples. V model, when we talk about a V model, like I said, it is also known as a verification and validation model. We will be dealing with the two major phases, what a developer lifecycle talks about, what a tester lifecycle talks about. Unlike a waterfall model, there is a lot of difference in between them. So why do we need to approach V model over waterfall? Also, I will be explaining in this. So starting from here, so your B model is designed to ensure the quality at every stage of a software development. So when we talk about the waterfall model last time in the last video, I explained you that the waterfall model flows in a sequential order in a downward upward way, right? So it moves in linear or a sequential order towards the downward way. That means once one phase criteria has been fulfilled, it moves to the next phase. So it cannot be reversed back, right? So in that way, what happened? If the after it passed through the testing phase, if there is still some bug or error left after deployment, we are realizing it, we cannot go back to the testing phase once again. Rather, once it has been integrated or installed completely, then we have to do the maintenance to overcome those kind of flaws. So that became quite a bit headache for the development, or the for a developer or a software engineer. So in order to overcome those, what happened, we have our V model. So V model, in this, what happened, testing is not treated as a separate or final activity. Instead, testing is treated and planned in a parallel way with the development. So as you can see that your V model is associated with two cycle. One is known as your developer life cycle, another is known as your tester life cycle. So the developer life cycle goes in corresponding to the tester life cycle. That means each phase is been parallelly tested and validated before moving on to the next phase. So the left hand side you can see also known as your verification phase, and whereas the right hand side represent your validations phase. So the coding happen in between both of them. So let us understand each step or each phase, what it signifies and how it corresponds to the tester life cycle. So the first, starting with the first phase, which is known as a business requirement specification. So the business requirement specification is also regarded as BRS, is your starting point of the V model. So in this phase, the main or the entire focus is on understanding the client requirement. So what are the requirements or needs of the client? Requirements or needs of the client need to be understood properly in order to move further into the development or any other phases. Because what happened? The client requirement should be a top priority of any kind of software engineer or as a developer. So understanding the client requirement is must. So B model, that's why I begin with the business requirement specification. So in this phase, you can see the focus is on understanding the need of the client or the organization. So at this stage, the emphasis is not on the technology or design or implementation, but purely on what business expert or business expect from the system. So expert will have certain kind of expectation what your software or the system will provide at the end as your outcome should be the criteria of your business requirement phase. So the requirements are written in a very simple language, so both technical and non-technical stakeholders can understand them clearly, so that the communication or the interaction between them will be smooth. So this phase ensure that everyone involvement has a common understanding of of the project goals, you can say, or about the development process. So any kind of misunderstanding over here can lead to a serious issue lately. So this phase plays a crucial role in the project success. So as a developer and as a client, the communication is very big key over here in case of your business requirement specification. So In the V model, this particular phase directly guides to acceptance testing. As you can see over here, acceptance testing is mentioned on the tester life cycle, right? So it acts as a corresponding phase where the testing has been done. Example, you can talk about your college management system, which talk about the student record should be stored digitally, manual paperwork should be reduced, also faculty should easily access to the student information, right? So think of this phase, that the goal of this phase is to ensure the clarity of the expectation. So like I said, the corresponding phase is your acceptance phase, right? So this ensure the final product satisfies the business need. So what it does, it check over satisfying the business need. So that is the job role of the tester life cycle. Okay, we will come also across with those phase in depth. For now, we just have a basic idea what the corresponding life cycle is or the phase is doing. So moving on to the next, known as a system requirement specification, which is here in the developer life cycle side. So in this phase, the business requirement are transferred into technical system requirement. Means once business requirement are finalized, they are translated into the system requirement specification. In this phase, what happened? The system must do to form a technical perspective. Once every documents needs are been noted down or documented, we need to try to convert or focus on analyzing it to convert it in a technical perspective. So here developer and the analyst specify the function requirement such as your system feature as well as your non-functional requirement like your performance, your security mainly, and your reliability. So this phase clearly outline the system boundaries and the constraint. Okay, it talks about what? It talks about your outlining system boundaries and what are the constraints associated with it. So this in this what happened? It become a reference point throughout the development and the testing. In the validation side, you can see that of the B model are verified through system integration testing. So what does this system integration testing will do? It ensure entire system behave as expected. It ensures, okay, it ensure whatever the technical perspective we are implementing or integrating should behave or act as expected. So when we take an example of the same student management system, we can say that the system must support multiple user roles, data must be stored secure in the database, or you can say the system must generate report within a second. Obviously, when example, many school and colleges have ERP system where if you want to download your mark sheet or the data for that particular test component, you can do it. So those should be done within few seconds, not a prolonged time. So this phase act as a contract between the client and the development team. Okay, in simple word we can say a bridge. Okay, we can say bridge between the client and development team. So like I said, the corresponding life cycle is the system integration testing. So this verify whether the complete system act according to your SRS. Okay, so what it does, it ensures whether every criteria your technical perspectives has been satisfied or not. So moving on to your third phase or the stage known as a high level design. So this phase focuses on overall system architecture. Okay, this phase focuses on what? Overall system architecture. So the high level design phase focus on the system architecture instead of detailed coding logic. So what happened? Coding is a far apart phase. Before that, we need to know how the framework should work, right? How the structure should look like, right? So for that we need a particular architecture, and that architecture is being governed in case of your high level design phase. So this phase provide a big picture view of how system will be organized. This system is also divided into major component or module, and there is an interaction between this module are also defined. So decision related to architecture, technology stack, and your data flows are also taken at this stage. So any kind of decision like how the architecture diagram is flowing, after what which step should come, all should be decided in this case, or this your high level design. So this phase particularly ensure that system should be scalable, maintainable, and well structured. So on the testing side, you can see that the corresponding phase is your component testing. So component testing job is to what? So this is what high level design is, ensuring the architecture diagram and its proper flow, right? So the component testing will do what? It's validate whether each module functions are according to the design or not. That means whether each modules are properly functioning according to my overall system architecture or not. So that is the job role of the tester life cycle or the validation phase. So in simple word, it is ensuring it is validating the functionality of the module. You can say, I will write it over here, functionality of the module to be specific. So, example, in case of your student database management system, like you are including your student module, you will have your faculty module, you will have your admin module, then you will have your user login page. So those kind of different module need a different kind of validation, whether each module is functioning properly or not, whether you can move from one module to the other or not. Those are been described in this phase. So that means what is happening over here? Data flow between these modules is designed without undergoing any coding level detail. Okay, we are just simply marking the functionality based on the architecture diagram. So this play what is the importance of then this high level design phase? So in this phase, what will happen? The developer will understand how the system is structured. Okay, how the system is been structured is been described in this particular stage. So each module will be tested, and obviously with the component testing will check whether each module has been provided with the proper functionality or not, which they deserve. Then we move to the fourth phase, which is also known as a low level design. Now what happened? High level design talked about your system architecture or overall system architecture, right? So this low level design talks about most detailed design phase. Why most detailed design phase is each module will also have sub components. So sub components will also have some functionality, right? This have been described in case of your low level design. So the overall structure is defined once, then we move to the low level design. So phase, in this phase we go across your finer details. Okay, more finer details, like I keep on saying, it's about like each module will have more sub functionality, including your components having some components, primary function, your secondary function. So all will be described in this way. Also this phase explain how each module will work internally. So it include like your you can say it include your detailed logic, algorithm, your database queries, and your interface details. So where developer use this phase as a blueprint, you can say, for coding. By planning these details in advance, the risk of the coding error is significantly reduced. So in this way, what happened? Developer is making himself ready for moving into the coding phase. So corresponding to this, you in the validation phase, you have your unit testing. So unit testing is what? What does the term unit means? So generally, what does the term unit will specify? So if you know, the unit talks about what? It talks about a single component, you can say in this case, single component or fixed number of elements. So here unit testing will ensure what? It will validate that each small part of the code behave exactly as designed in this phase. So like I said, it is more finer version of the high level design, right? So each component or the sub component has some functionality. Each functionality or part of the code is behaving exactly as per the design of the phase or not. That is what is been done in case of your unit testing. Unit testing, test your small portion or the small part, then validate the data. Then what happened? Once it has been done, this phase ensure coding are minimized. So once you build a structure, you have a proper design, then you go for the proper functionality. So that's when it does what? It will talk about your whether coding errors are minimized or not. So if it is minimized, then the developer will be moving to the coding phase. So in case of your coding phase, we know that coding means what? It is your implementation. So coding means what? Coding means the implementation phase. So implementation is where design is converted into actual software. So the during the coding, you can see the developer will write the source code using some chosen programming languages. Each module will be implemented based on your low level design. Obviously, that is a finer version. The coding standards or guideline will be followed also. So in simple way, what does it mean? At the bottom of the V model lies the coding phase where the design turns into reality. Okay, all your design has is been converted into the reality. So that's what your v model main element comprises of, or the main phase, which is known as your coding. So the developer writes source code based on the on detailed design prepared earlier, right? Since all requirement and design are already verified, coding becomes systematic and organized. So each module is implemented carefully following the coding standard and guideline. Once the coding standard is been completed, then what will happen? The system will move again upward direction in your validation phase, or you can say the validation side. Initially, what happened? It was coming down, right? So once the measure phase is in passed, again it will move to the validation phase. Though they all act in a corresponding way, but still once again the testing will be done. So in the validation phase, the first element you will be coming across, or the first phase will be your unit testing. So like I said, unit testing ensure what? Testing of a smaller unit of code, right? That works correctly. So it is the first level of your validation, we can say. So don't get confused, as it is moving from upward to downward to upward. So the unit testing becomes the first level. So first level of what? First level of your validation phase. So here individual unit or the function of the software are tested independently. So the goal over here is to verify that what? Each smallest component work correctly before combining it with other. So I can say the detecting errors at the stage will save your time as well as the effort in finding it in the later phases. So you can say that your login page, whether login page is successfully accepting each individual credential or not. So verifying the data insertion logic. So this will ensure what? Low level of risk. So then what happened? When we move upward in the way, you will come across with what? Component testing. So component testing is what? That is your seventh phase of your V model. But here what happened? Initially, unit testing is a smaller part, right? Each single element has been tested. Component, as the name suggests, what? It is a combination of more than one element, right? In single component. So multiple units are combined to form a component. So interaction between unit are tested. So here multiple units will be combined and tested in a group. Initially, it has been tested separately, individually. They saw the individual functionality. It's working. Once it is tested and verified, validated, it moves to the component where it so talks about what how it works in a combined way, in a grouped way. That's when become your component testing. So this will ensure what the model functions as a complete component and meet the design expectation set during your high level design phase. So example, you're testing the entire student model, checking whether the student data are flowed correctly to your UI, to the database or not, like from front end to the back end or not. So this phase will ensure model work as intended. Okay, as I mentioned, model worked as intended. So next, moving on to the second last phase, which is known as a system integration testing. So here what is happening, all the components are integrated into a complete system. So single element, group of element, now entire system. So during the system integration testing, all the components are integrated to form a complete system. So this phase will verifies what or validate the interaction between the different modules and ensure that there is a smooth flows of data across the system. It also will check for the system level properties such as your performance, reliability, and error handling. So this phase, after that, what it will do, it will validate the system against your system specific requirement. Like I said, it will ensure all are working perfectly. So if I give furthermore example your admin module where, so if admin updates something, the student record and the student as well as the faculty module can also be able to view that, right? So those are known as the system integration testing. Once reflected in one module, it should be visible or viewed in others also. That means it is updating as a complete set of module. So the report will be generated using data from multiple module also, whether it is generating or not. So this kind of technical requirement come across with the system integration testing. The last and the foremost testing, what we come across in the V model is your acceptance testing. So this is the most final and critical testing phase, you can say. So it was found it is usually performed by the client or the end user. Okay, remember this. It is usually performed by client or we can say end users. So what will happen here? Here will the system will be tested in your real world environment after being installed or integrated to confirm whether it meets the original business requirements or criteria. Only after the successful acceptance testing is approved by the client or the end user, then it moves for the deployment phase. But whereas in waterfall model, what happened, as well as this testing is done, so they just move for the deployment, real world deployment. They don't check whether it is having any kind of bugs or error before the deployment, means while doing the deployment. But here what happened, it is ensured by the client as well as the end user that there is no problem, we can move to the final stage. So the example, your college admin verifies the ease of the use of the platform of a student management system. Faculty will confirm the accuracy of the report generation in case of your management system, whether whether the management can view the required particular module or not. So those are the final conclusion given by the client, and once those are very clearly done or accepted the final product, so it moves for the deployment. So the what actually the V model does, it ensure early error detection. So unlike your waterfall model, it is a traditional model. We go very ease on it and we move from one phase to another in our comfort zone. But here the each phase verifies the verify and try to reduce the level of errors or the bugs which could in future could enhance and create a big issue. It try to reduce it. So that's the job of the V model. Verify and validate corresponding to each other, means next to each other. So this creates a clear testability between the development and the testing, right? And high quality software delivery will be also there. So you can say it is the best suited for project with clear and stable requirement, especially in any kind of domain where the reliability and the correctness are critical. So that's when we come across with a V model. V model is though little bit complex than your waterfall model, but tested as the most of the efficient model than your traditional way of approach. So that's where we come across with the V model. So I hope you understood this part. If any doubt, you can pin it in the chat box. So thank you for watching. So this is Adyasha again signing off. See you in the next video.